catch the Transformers War for Cybertron series on Netflix, and it's categorized as a Netflix original anime. And it's a three-parter, so there's 3 chapters, and the first chapter, called Siege, is what released on Friday, and it consists of 6 episodes, only 30 minutes each episode, so it's very short, very easy to kind of watch and breeze through everything. And here are my thoughts on the entire chapter as a whole, and I may reveal some spoilers, so spoiler alert, spoiler warning. If you haven't watched any of the episodes yet and you don't want to get spoiled with anything, just fast forward through this. I'll make sure that there's a proper timestamp within the description after the show if you're watching live. Wait for me to wave my hands like this again, and then I'll make sure it's dead. I stop talking about it and you can resume listening. But if you're a huge fan of the 80s cartoon Transformers like I have been, and if you've been following kind of the comics and been collecting the toys and all that, definitely keep your expectations at the door. It is not anything that is from the 80s. It is not anything that is remotely similar to the Transformers movie from 86. This is a completely different take on things. It's interesting that Netflix categorizes this as an anime because it does feel more like an anime versus American animation, which could be a good thing for a lot of people. But for someone who is a huge fan of the original Transformers lore, we call it G1, Generation 1, it's very different. First of all, it's very dark, very gloomy. At parts, it's very actually depressing, and that's what makes me feel like this series starts off so slow. The first 3 episodes, to be completely honest, I felt were completely boring. Yeah, they tried to cover a lot of things in there, but it just didn't really grab my attention. It's only up until episode 4 where things started to get somewhat interesting, and then the action really picked up in the last 2 episodes in 5 and 6. Basically the premise, and this is not so much of a spoiler because you could kind of get the sense of this from the trailer. You're on Cybertron. Apparently there was a huge uprising, and which causes the 2 factions. You have the Decepticons and the Autobots. The Decepticons appear to be the bigger of the 2 and the more dominant faction, and it looks to me, well, not looks to me, but in the show it portrays that it's the Autobots who are on the run and kind of in hiding to figure out how they're going to battle the Decepticons. You have a lot of Autobots that actually left their faction to be on their own and independent because they don't want to be a part of this war. You have certain Autobots that actually join the Decepticons for their cause and everything. And you can tell that there was this overall leader that was overturned and overtaken, and the kind of matrix of leadership does fall under Optimus Prime, but Optimus Prime is a weakling in this series so far. He, in my opinion, displays poor leadership skills, is extremely non-tactical, and cannot fight for his life. He gets beaten up, shot, torn down. I mean, it is just so depressing to see this leader of the Autobots that a lot of us hold dear to our heart kind of be, heard that way, and it's Megatron is, a big driving force, as he always is. You kind of see the small rise of Starscream to be his right-hand man. Ultra Magnus is already in this series at this point, and he's supposed to be Optimus's kind of general and combat technician and all that, and he also proves to be kind of weak in many ways. And this series, in just a short 6 episodes, we already see a lot of depth, we already see a lot of dismemberment. There's a moment where we see robot zombies, Transformer zombies, You know, it's a very, very bleak and interesting take on, I guess you could say this is the origin of how the Transformers came to be, or how the Autobots and Decepticons came to be. But you know, it's just it's kind of jarring just to see it portrayed in this light. You know, you have you can tell that Bumblebee is gonna be kind of a main character in this series. But in the very beginning, Bumblebee is more like a street rat who is for hire, and he just helps factions find Energon cubes. You know, because Energon cubes is a sought-after resource, and he's kind of like the street kid that knows how to get things, and he'll, you know, do what he needs to do for the money, which is very interesting. Unfortunately, none of the voice actors from any of the original series or movies are in here. They do their best to try to mimic them as much as possible, so don't expect that watching this series that you're going to hear familiar voices from the past. It is kind of unfortunate that we don't get that. I feel like that's a part of the charm of the original series, was the great voice acting. The people that they have now are okay, they do their best. You also see Optimus in this bizarre, I guess, affair with one of his cohorts. They don't really blatantly put it in your face, but you can see that there's this tension, romantic tension, and it's not RC. It's not RC, because I know as far as female Transformers, we only know the one, but there is another, and she gets introduced in this show. And you know, the AllSpark plays another MacGuffin in this series, where, you know, you got to get the AllSpark, and the AllSpark is the thing that kind of, you know, keeps everything afloat. And the whole idea and premise is that the Autobots wants to take the AllSpark and take it off of Cybertron, and they find their way to do so, and so on and so forth. So I will say it kind of intrigued me enough to kind of see what they're planning for Chapter 2, because, you know, the way Chapter 1 ended, and I already mentioned spoiler alert and all that, so, you know, don't get at me if you are pissed off that I'm revealing so much, but they do get off Cybertron, at least from what it seems at the end of the chapter. The Autobots are kind of split. You have the main core that apparently appeared to have escaped Cybertron. The AllSpark was thrown into oblivion, so they don't know where the AllSpark is. So I think now they're gonna have to start looking for it. And then you have a group of Autobots that are left behind, that is still on Cybertron, looking to fight the battle down there. So very, very interesting stuff. I'm still not quite sure how I feel about it all, to be honest with you. But like I said, it's intriguing enough that I am willing to check out Chapter 2 to see where they go from here. But it's up to you to see if you want to watch it. But like I said, keep your expectations checked, because it is not the Transformers that you are familiar with from the past. It is a definitely different take. It's very bleak, very gloomy. At times felt boring and slow, to be honest. So it is true to its word that it is an anime, because there's a lot of animes that kind of have the same similar flow and doesn't pick up until later on. So yeah, so that's my quick review there. If you're like, I know a lot of people who are diehard Transformers fans. I don't think they're gonna like this series, to be honest with you. And I don't think this is a series for kids, because it is very dark, and like I said, you do see a lot of death. You do see a lot of jarring dismemberment and casualties. So definitely not something for kids. You could tell this was really aimed in hopes to reinvigorate the love for Transformers in the adults that, you know, grew up with Transformers in the past. But I do feel a lot of adults who are hardcore fans may not like this iteration of Transformers, but I could be wrong. You know, definitely do let me know if you catch it, and let me know your thoughts, because I am interested to hear what people think about it. But for me, that's just my 2 cents on it all. So, all right, spoiler alert done. You can go ahead and pump up your volumes and continue listening. Oh hey guys, thanks again for watching. If you want to check out my other videos, make sure to access them through this menu that you see on this side of the screen. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, or hit that logo you see right here on this side of the screen. I've always wanted to do that. Catch you next time.